Before I give Coach the floor here, just as a reminder, please say your name and outlet before your question. And Coach, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. How we doing? Great. How many of you done so far? 4? So we're number 4. Sounds good. Well, first, this is my second time doing this, so I'm a little bit more comfortable than last year. I still want to make sure you guys understand how grateful we are to be here. This is better than last year. It's even more efficient, and this is their first time, and we're going to talk about it afterwards. But I could tell you that Allie and Mia were blown away last year, and can't thank you guys enough. We're so excited to be a part of the Big Ten, and with that, I'll just turn it over. Let's get going here.
Questions for the Trojans? I will go back row.
All right, Crash.
Yes, Crash Collier with Behind the Caution Tape. So this is year 2 for USC in the Big Ten, and how does that year of experience help how you guys scheme and strategize for this upcoming year 2, all 3 of you?
Yeah, last year I said we didn't know what we didn't know. Well, now we know what we know. We studied a lot of these teams. We got to play them. There are a lot of different styles. How we're going to play, we're going to change as well. We have to keep adapting and keep pushing our tempo and playing faster, more physical, and smarter in a lot of ways, which I think will allow us to bleed points out of opponents, hopefully, is the way that I look at it. The game has changed drastically in the world, and so we have to keep up with that style and how they play and what they do and how they talk and act. The teams are very, very different across the board, so it's just going to be more about what we do in our gym to prep for them, and then obviously you're scouting and doing other things. But a lot of the stuff that we need to train is what they should be doing on the other side of the net, and so we don't really have to talk about it. We're just going to work on those things.
Like Brad said, the play is different, moving from Pac-12 to Big Ten. Definitely more competitive, bigger crowds, but having a year of experience now, I think we're great, and we loved it and really enjoyed it. The travel aspect, we got that down. It wasn't too big of a deal for us. It wasn't like a factor that affected us, so yeah.
Yeah, last year we were excited to go into something new, and I think we're ready this year and going into different places like Penn State, Minnesota. Yeah, just really excited for this level of play that's about to come this next month. So
we're a very different team too now.
Lee, right here.
Lee Feinswag from 900 square feet. Brad, impact freshmen?
We have a lot of really good freshmen that are coming in. I would say names to watch out for would be Abigail Mullen, Reese Messer, Taylor Deckert, Quinn Loper, just to name a few. We also have a young lady named Brooklyn Teeler who redshirted last year, so she's actually technically a freshman, but no one saw her because she was injured. She is no longer injured, knock on wood, and we are ready to go. So there's a bunch of new faces, and there are 11 returning players, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of new, fresh faces. This is going to be a much younger team.
For both the players, can you tell me something that you think is either interesting, funny, insightful, helped your volleyball career that you've learned from Brad? It can be anything.
From Brad, lots of things from Brad. Brad loves to go off into his things and tell us stories, but I don't know, maybe he loves to play games, like I was saying before. He loves to play Connect 4, and we use that as a way to warm up sometimes. Yeah.
He likes to open up open up our practices with a quote or a video. He claims that he's on social media. But he shows us like videos, like inspiring videos and inspiring quotes. My favorite quote from him was my freshman year: "Often bumpy roads lead to beautiful places." So.
Coach, what is the story behind Connect 4? Any reason?
Well, it's a great game. I grew up competing in everything, so sequence is a board, just any sort of way that you can compete, I think is important. It also allows you to get one-on-one time with the athletes, or you get 4 people in there with sequence, or it's just time to talk and break down walls and teach them. You can learn a lot from simple games like Connect 4. The thing about Connect 4 is it's actually a very intriguing game because if you got to figure out how to divide the thing up and how to get to higher ground and try to cut them off, but then build. And it's almost like a chess game in reality if you play it correctly. And as you do that, same thing with sequence. It's about patterns and trying to create patterns and stuff. And all that stuff translates to actually sports and volleyball and how your mindset is. If you know what you're doing ahead of time and you know how to get there, you're playing a different game during the volleyball match or what have you. And so a lot of the stuff that I'm really incorporating now is how do you become an elite thinker, an elite mind? And so I'll give you one real quick story. I'll try to make it as fast as possible. There's a video out there that's Barry Bonds versus Greg Maddux. Do you guys know what I'm talking about at all? You guys can look it up. But they're talking about an at-bat, Barry Bonds versus Greg Maddux, and they're both not in the same room, and they have an iPad, they're watching it, and they're saying the exact same thing. And the level of conversation that they're saying is so elite. It's like, it's not trying to get bat on ball. It was like, he has to go down and away. It has to be a cutter. I'm going to sit on it. I have to go down and away. He knows I'm going to go. And I mean, they're saying it's a different level, which is why they were so good. And so I think a lot of what we're trying to do in our gym is find different and creative ways to teach us how to become elite.
It's an interesting way to look at it. Coach, I wanted to ask you too, maybe I was the only one who didn't know this, but Coach Trent Kirsten came in here and said that you had coached him in the past. Is there anything you want to share about that background and now seeing him take that step from his time in Southern California to now being a Big Ten coach?
I'm so proud of Trent. Trent's one of my good friends. He was a sophomore when I got this associate job at UCLA on the men's side, and he was the first player I talked to. Sproul was, I think, in Europe competing with the national team at that point. And the bond he just was an ultimate team player. He was totally a volleyball dork, which I like, and he was sincere, passionate, consistent, which he is now. And I just think he's going to do an amazing job there at Oregon. But I mean, I have so many great stories. I mean, he was up in Northern California. I went home during COVID, which is up there. He was at San Jose State, but he would come over and hang out with the family because you couldn't hang out with very many people. So we played a lot of sequence, actually.
Adonia, I wanted to ask you about, you've experienced injury in your career, have a really solid season last year. What is your feeling heading into this year, coming off of that foundation that you built in your second year in the Big Ten?
Yeah, coming from injury, it was really tough, and coming into my first actual full season last year, I was kind of nerve-wracking, just trying not to injure myself again, but I think I just had the best support system around me, especially the seniors, and then my girl Leah and Riley McGinnis, just having them by my side, and my family as well, that just really set the foundation for me, and I'm excited to use that going forward into this season, and yeah, really looking forward to it.
One quick follow-up, Leah. Just speaking of your family, what is the impact they've had on you? But I understand both your parents were volleyball coaches, and how that influenced your upbringing and your volleyball career and off the court.
Yeah, so right out the womb, I was in the gym. My dad was a coach. My entire family played. My grandparents, they played in a little Samoan league in Carson, California. It's 20 minutes away from LA. It just runs deep in the Polynesian culture, and yeah, it just means everything to me to be able to be at home and play for the people that paved the way for me.
Girls, if it's any consolation to you, I saw Brad a few weeks ago, and he told me the story about Maddux and Bonds. Great, Brad.
I sure did.
Coaches picked you sixth.
Yeah.
Good assessment of your team?
I have no idea. I think we can be anywhere from a top couple team to a bottom, depending on how it is. This league is incredibly difficult, and I think there's a lot of unknowns, right? There's a lot of new players in this conference that we don't really know about, and so sixth is fine, but our goal is to try to get to one. That's just the bottom. We said this in the other presser or the live thing, is if you're not trying to compete for championships, then that's the only thing I want to be talking about. So, sure, six is good right now, but that's not where I want to end up or where we want to end up.
Lincoln Arnea, Huskers Illustrated. Leah, Adonia, have you paid attention at all to the evolving world of college athletics with now revenue sharing and guys kind of evolved. Is that on your radar, and how much thought and consideration do you give to that?
For sure, it's becoming a big part of women's sports, and I think it's a great avenue and thing. It's great connections, NIL, revenue share. I think it's great for us to be able to put ourselves out there and represent ourselves and be ourselves. Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool to be able to like brand yourself and like represent yourself in like the world and just basically show who you are, and then you get to make money off of it, and it gets to waterfall into your life.
Brad, how much of your mind capacity does that take up in your world too, of figuring out how to navigate new revenue sharing? Are you for more funds to pay the players directly? How much of that does take up your day?
It takes the majority of my day now. I've become a manager. You're trying to fill up every kid's basket as best you can, but and there's a lot to that, and it's not just volleyball anymore, and it's all these different components, right? It used to be, you're recruiting, you're training, culture, right? There's like certain things, but now you're adding a whole nother level of agents and rev share and NIL opportunities, and what does that look like? And honestly, one of the biggest things that we need to do is, I'd like to get away from getting your bag or whatever, right? You get an NIL deal. This needs to be about brand building. So, like, for example, you all know who Juju Watkins is from our women's basketball team. Do you think that State Farm is going to drop her after college? I mean, she's going to have State Farm for a very long time, and so she's building brands, and so building her brand. And so I think we need to really change the dialogue of that and work towards what that looks like. And then on top of that, we need to figure out how to put guardrails in there too, so we're not all over the place and it's chaos right now. So you're navigating chaos, and you're navigating what you can do the best way for your kids, and you're trying to make sure that your dialogue is correct towards your kids, and the fact that, hey, this is a bigger thing. If you're trying to build a brand, you're not just trying to grab some money and you're done.
Coach, wanted to ask you about Leah sitting next to you, who just right from the get-go became one of the best blockers in the Big Ten. Where do you feel like she can continue to make strides, and how she's continuing to grow her game?
Well, at the beginning, Leah wasn't. She wasn't as strong as she is now. She's really developed herself, or put time into the weight room and taking care of herself on and off the court. I think that's a huge one, having the ability to do that, and for long stretches. That's for any athlete. Same thing with Dawn. I think we're training in a very specific way on how to be creative in how you attack the ball, and how you find spaces, and how you speed things up, how you slow it down, how you become a complete player. Her blocking has actually always been good. She's always been able to get her feet there. I think but for her, the next step is going to be how high she can get above the net. So you make that move, you get beat, she's still going to be able to close it, but how high above the net can you get to make that play? I think that's going to be the next step for her.
Yeah, Leah, what has the work been like in this offseason when, you do have that solid base of your first year in the Big Ten, but trying to move yourself forward too?
Yeah, definitely, like he said, putting in the work for rehab, putting in the work in the weight room, getting my offense more, being more available, more shots. Like he said, just being more creative and the things that I can do, just expanding.
Coach, you mentioned this earlier when you were talking about the landscape of the Big Ten and those preseason rankings, but how do you look overall from a macro level of the league, where there's a lot of fifth years that are no longer here and different head coaches coming in, and just overall, does this feel like a transition time, or, obviously still incredibly robust, but how do you kind of voice what that looks like coming into this season?
The amount of change that's been going on has been pretty extreme, and you're right. You had a bunch of fifth-year kids that we've seen for a long time, like Mia Tuniga was one of them, and Allie Batenhorst, and the list goes down across. So now you're going to get a lot of fresh faces, and a lot of transfers, and a lot of international players. So I just think we're in this space where you're going to constantly see movement, and I believe that the teams that do really well down the road over the course of time are going to really invest in their culture, and really that's going to be the backbone of what they do. And so they'll avoid a little bit of the transfer market and whatever that is. We have to find better ways to continue to take care of ourselves and our teams. I don't know that really answers your question, but I just think it's just changed so much, and I don't think it's not. I think it's going to continue to change. So on a macro level, I mean, it's happening to every conference. I mean, there's so many different players that have moved around and different teams popping up and new coaches. I like the fact that there's a lot of really good young coaches. There's a lot of really good coaches in the Big Ten. These new coaches are very, very good. So this is going to be a very competitive environment, as always.
Any other questions for the Trojans? All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharp.